Welcome to Boomer Being. I'm your host, Leslie Noymer. Today we're going to be hearing about AVIS, the Andover Village Improvement Society, and see some of their reservations. We're standing in Indian Ridge, a beautiful reservation of AVIS, and also a popular walk in Andover since the last century. My guests today are John Hess, Vice President of AVIS and Trustee, Mike Timko, President of AVIS and Trustee, and Denise Boucher, Trustee. From AVIS's mission statement, we get an understanding of the purpose of the organization. AVIS is a non-profit land trust dedicated to acquiring land in its natural state and encouraging public use and quiet enjoyment of its reservations. John, when was AVIS founded and what is its purpose today?
AVIS was founded in 1894. It was originally called the Andover Village Improvement Society, and it was founded just as the name says, to improve the village of Andover. This was part of a movement nationwide led by a fellow named Birdsey Northup, who went around the country encouraging people to create these kinds of societies. Also, he was very active in the Arbor Day Foundation. So he got people excited about kind of overcoming the issues that industrialization and the dirt and grime that came with industrialization. So in Andover, they had the purpose of originally just beautifying the community. They planted flowers, they cleaned up, and it was really a very nice thing. One of the main things they did was plant flowers at the train station. It was Andover's original, gateway, so that they planted flowers and made it very nice there for people coming to Andover.
And what are some of the key aspects of what AVIS does today?
Well, AVIS preserves over 1,000 acres of land, and we make it available to the community and anybody really to make use of it for. They can do hikes or picnics, they can go birding, they can do geocaching, orienteering, cross-country skiing. There's just a lot of things that people can do and really be able to enjoy the land in its natural state.
Very impressive. And the founders had a lot of vision.
They did, yes. There were a number of people involved at the beginning, including the town schoolmaster, the head of the high school. His name was William Goldsmith. And he, along with a group of other people, founded the organization. At the same time, there was a group called the Indian Ridge Association. And that's how we get to this particular property, because that group was a separate group initially, and they didn't merge with Andover Village Improvement Society until 1915. But they formed in order to protect this land from development. They were going to use it as a gravel pit. And today it's protected and available for the public. There was a woman particularly involved, Alice Buck, and in fact in this reservation there's a rock with a plaque having her name and dedicating it to her for preserving the Indian Ridge area of Andover.
We're very fortunate indeed. Now we're here at Baker's Meadow. Baker's Meadow is actually a pond. It's home to over 145 species of birds, and it provides vital habitat for many animals, including muskrat. So John, tell us about the early years of AVIS.
Okay, as I said earlier, AVIS was founded in 1894, and then in 1915 merged with the Indian Ridge Association. And then for a while it wasn't very active until the mid-50s. And one of the first things they purchased in the 50s was this area, Baker's Meadow, which was actually a meadow, as you said, but the guy who bought it in the 1920s wanted to raise muskrats, so he dammed it up, made the meadow into a pond so he could raise muskrats. But with the crash of 1929, he went out of business, and so the land was available in the 50s when people like Harold Rafton, Klaus Stingler, and Al Rattel decided that they should really become more active with AVIS in purchasing land, and this was one of the first pieces of property they purchased in that time.
Welcome to the Shawshene River Reservation. The river offers walkers and canoeists an opportunity to get close with nature and wildlife. So Denise, tell us, Explain to our audience about accessibility and how vigorous some of these trails really are.
Well, with over 28 reservations scattered throughout Andover, there's bound to be one near your home. And they're all different, and the trails can vary from vigorous, wide, open paths, or vigorous, strenuous, steep hills with rocks and roots. The trail we're standing on now, the Vale Trail, is a wide open path, and within a 3 to 5 minute walk, you'll find yourself at a bench, or there's a picnic table here. A lot of the trails have benches scattered throughout. So you won't find yourself hiking very far before you come to a bench or some point of interest. The trails here can take you along rivers, through meadows, or up steep ridges. So they accommodate people of all ability levels. If you're going to take a day out and go out on some of the trails, you can find them listed in our trail guide, or you can find them online. You can download the map. There's parking at every trail, at every reservation. The parking is usually easy to find. And you know, there are many activities you can be doing out here. You can be picnicking, you can be boating on the river, you can be cross-country skiing, snowshoeing. There are a lot of people that like to run our trails or use them to walk, you know, for walking their dogs or bird watching. So why don't you just get out here and enjoy?
Sounds good. Mike, will you share with our listeners a little bit more about the Shawshene River Reservation and in particular about AVIS's new initiatives?
Okay, the Shawshene River Reservation was purchased in 1963, shortly after the Baker's Meadow, and it was part of a large increase in the amount of land that AVIS owned at the time. This was under Harold Rafton, who was great at finding such things. It's about 40 acres and is maintained mostly as meadow. By mowing it and keeping it as meadow, we increase the kinds of habitat that we have. This appeals to certain birds and other animals that don't do as well in the wooded areas, such as the next reservation down, the Vale Reservation. As Denise was pointing out, the trail going through Shawshene River Reservation and the Vale Reservation together is known as the Vale Trail, and this is the first official piece of the Shawshene River Greenway, which is an effort that's been around for about 30 years, but is just now catching fire. And AVIS started this movement recently by creating this trail and saying this is part of the Greenway. The Greenway is intended to be a path along the one bank or the other of the Shawshene River, all the way from the upstream end at Tewksbury to the downstream end in Lawrence. The Greenway is a collaboration among a number of groups. AVIS, the Town of Andover, the Andover Conservation Commission, the Andover Trails Committee. Eventually, we will bring in a bunch of businesses and private landowners whose land the trail will cross. And of course, we have organizations like the Boy Scouts who have provided the boardwalks, the benches, the bridges, and other trail improvements throughout.
Well, thank you so much, Mike. We've tried to give you a little smattering of the beauty of the reservations that AVIS has provided us with. So come on out to Andover's backyard, and you can get a lot of information on their website, www.avisandover.org. I'm Leslie Noymer. Thanks for joining us on Boomer Beam.